Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, Chapter 103. We last left our heroes. Ziggy pretty much solidified his turn to the dark side. Pino's moment of wavering on where she would end up was resolved without really any reason for us having this that part of the conflict in the first place. But anyway, Ziggy went on to the Eden's One with Captain Connor and his 4 Dark Stars, the counterparts of the 4 Shining Stars, and declared war on the Eden Zero. So yeah, that's kind of where we left off. Also, the Eden Zero is back in orbit, so it's the 2 ships in orbit. So yeah, Chapter 103, Clash of the Cosmos. Our cover picture here is Wise in what looks like a gun store, maybe? I'm not entirely sure where he's supposed to be. But anyway, we open where we left off with the 2 ships staring each other down, and Shiki looks at Ziggy, looks at Ziggy on the screen. Grandpa, what happened to you? What could have changed you like this? And Ziggy just smiles, and Witch calls out, "You were a good man. You wanted peace between humans and bots. You told us we were family. You were so kind to everyone. Why would you..." And then we see the 4 Dark Stars and their names. Wizard is the kind of pretty boy one. Those are the bots we were built to replace. Clown is very clearly the clown one. Aw, they're so cute. And then there's Brigandine, who's this kind of bulky guy. They are missing one. And then the weird kind of animalistic one with the lack of a real face. Valkyrie's death confirmed. That's Killer. And Homura kind of takes that takes the announcement of Valkyrie's death, even though she knew it, kind of an extra moment of frustration there. Sorry, I was trying to think of a word. But Ziggy just coldly says, "That saves us the trouble of disposing of her." And Homura glares up at him. "How dare you? Connor, sink the ship." And Connor pauses for a moment before he says, "If you don't mind me saying so, Your Majesty, there'll only be women and children aboard that ship. They be a bunch of civilians. I don't think attacking them is..." And Rebecca has a moment of hope. "Mr. Connor!" And Clown leans over Connor's chair. "This is the trouble with humans. Listen, sweetie, we're only paying you for your piloting skills here. Now be a professional and do your job, okay? I'm here because I agree with the Demon King's ideals." And Wizard stops him, and that ship is threatening those ideals. If we don't sink it now, I assure you it will block our path one day. I'm curious why Connor agrees with the Demon King's ideals, that humanity needs to be stopped. Or not that humanity needs to be stopped, that machines need to rule over humans. Connor is just a character I'm really interested in, because when he's introduced in World 29, despite the fact he should functionally be the same man he was in World 30, he was so kind in World 29. And I don't know what, there's something interesting about him I want to get into, and I don't know when we will, but whatever. Anyway, I assure you it will block our path one day. But Brigandine kind of debates that. "I would hardly call them a threat. They are but paltry prototypes." And Killer, we see this graph appears on Killer's face. "Lack of sufficient strength. They are less than bugs." And Ziggy turns to him, cuts through all of the chatter. "Sink them." And Connor pauses. "Aye, aye, sir." Rebecca just stares in shock, her last hope gone, and the screen fades away. "Grandpa!" The lasers on the Eden's One start to light up, and Witch calls out, "Battle stations, everyone!" And Wise looks up. Here it comes. And Hermit raising Eden Zero shields. And we see the shield. The shield forms just in time for the blast to start coming, and it just explodes all along the ship. The shield, I mean. Enough of a shockwave to have Shiki land suggestively in Rebecca's bosom, because of course he does. Whoa! Ah! It penetrated our shields? Their ether cannon is too powerful. Oh, so yeah, it actually did break through their shields a little bit. Even Chris and Clean are kind of sent flying by the shockwave. And Chris looks at Clean. "What's happening? Brother?" Back in the control room, "Our shields aren't strong enough for their attack. Taking evasive maneuvers." But then there's still just a whole bunch of explosions all over the place. And the Eden's One gets closer. The Eden's One is closing. Happy calls out, it's going to ram us. Are they insane? On which calls back, Great Demon King. Lord Shiki. We must fight or die. Order the attack. And Shiki hesitates, obviously not wanting to attack Ziggy. Shiki. That's not Ziggy. This is a sister. He's our enemy now. It probably is Ziggy, but whatever helps them get into battle. Now the Eden's One is right on them. We're gonna crash! Evading, and they just barely, barrel roll out of the way. And Connor just, hat over his eyes, fire. And the Eden's One fires, point blank onto the Zero. And the Zero is kind of sent, not really falling because they're in space, but we see, the wing is smoking. They got our hold. Shiki! And Shiki finally cuts through. Start the attack. We'll use that chance to get away from them. The Eden Zero starts firing on the One. And Connor calls out, bombarding us with anti-ether mines and then try and make their escape, eh? No ship in the cosmos can outrun me. The Eden's One just cuts through all the explosions. Which calls out, launching Scorpion missiles. And all the missiles fire into the space between the two of them, creating this, field of explosions between... No. So the Witch's line here, they intercepted every one of them, implies that the One actually, blew up every missile before it could hit them. And Wise calls out, what kind of a high-tech missile defense do they have? And Connor just calmly replies, or not really replies, but, he says, deploying B small battle drones. Stop the Zero in its tracks. And we see he has all these kind of, B-looking drones are released from the Eden's One. We have unmanned fighters too, and Hermit releases their own drones. The sets of drones fight as the Zero tries to get away, but then Homura notices someone on a drone, and Rebecca calls out, look, someone's on that drone! Happy, one of the 4 Dark Stars! And we see its wizard just standing there. Divine Lightning. And he summons somehow summons lightning from space to destroy all of the Zero's drones, which is not good for us. No! They're all gone. A single humanoid bot took out every drone? Enemy drones approaching, 30 in all. And Witch calls out, shields at maximum output. But the drones approach anyway through the shields. It looks like they crash into the ship, just easily breaking through the shields. And Homura and Rebecca and Wise all hit the ground or walls in various ways. Happy looks up. The ship can't take it. And Connor just solemnly, it's end for ye. Ye be in range of our main cannon, the Starbringer. Wise looks out. This is not good. Evade, we have to dodge it. But Witch tells her, the bees are pinning us down. Hermit's looking at the screen. The Eden Zero's armor is down 40%. Energy levels decreasing. Pino's also with her. The Starbringer is called? Yeah, the Starbringer continues to power up, and Ziggy, this is destiny. And it starts to fire. And Rebecca, desperately holding her leg, begging her ether gear. Please, Cat, you have to activate. Please, I'm begging you. And just then, we see the bee drones. Something shoots through the bee drones, and they start being destroyed one by one. That gets Shiki's attention. And Hermit calls out, "The bees are vanishing? What the heft is going on?" Is Moscow. Unidentified ship approaching. No, it's the Skull Fairy. It's fucking Elsie. Oh, I missed you. Elsie Crimson's pirate ship, remove the bees. And Elsie calls down at them, or I don't know if they can hear her, but Elsie just says, "Ahoy, how have you been, children?" Elsie! And Wise, still swooning over her, "My hero!" Diverting all energy to propulsion. Evade! And the Eden Zero uses this opportunity I'm trying to get a read on what this panel is. Because we see, I guess the Starbringer finally shoots. but I think the Eden Zero just like barely off to the side of it. Like one of the wings is kind of sizzling. And Connor is like in shock. What? They dodged the blast? And Ziggy just kind of takes that news in. As I don't know if they've noticed the Skull Fairy yet, because it seems to be right above the Eden's one. But Elsie morosely, Ziggy, I never dreamed it would come to this. Shiki, your ship, you love them so much. And Ziggy sees the Skull Fairy on one of the screens, and he turns away. Withdraw. And Connor looks back in shock. That piratess is trouble. We won't escape her unscathed. Not at our present stage, anyway. Elsie Crimson, one of the Oracion Seis Galactica. That's some news! The dread pirate who conquered the 7 cosmic seas. And then in a moment later, we're back on the Eden Zero, and Pino, lying on the ground, basically collapsed. The Eden's one is leaving the sector. And Wise asks, then we're saved? I guess so. For now. And Shiki looks up. Grandpa. And just then we have another video chat forums. And it's Elsie, of course. I'm on my way to your ship. I must talk to you about Ziggy. And that's the end of the chapter. So, looks like we're going to be getting Ziggy. We're maybe getting Ziggy answers much, much sooner than I thought we were. I figured basically the fight would go kind of like this. I didn't predict the Skull Fairy showing up, though it does make sense in retrospect. But that basically, the team would barely get away with their lives or something. Kind of like my theory with Koji in today's Boruto chapter. How he barely got away with his life in the fight with Ishiki. Same thing here with the Eden Zero barely getting away from the fight with the One. Though, admittedly, I did not predict Elsie's arrival. And I definitely did not predict Elsie being one of the Galactica. Which, admittedly, if they're all just... it's... unlike Fairy Tail, where the Oracion Seis were, a guild... And I think it's been a long time since I watched Rave Master, but I recall they were at least, on the same side, right? I don't know, I really have no memory of... I have only the vaguest of memories of Rave Master. I need to read the manga at some point. But here, the Galactica, the Oracion Seis seem to be completely, unaffiliated with each other, besides, they're all powerful criminals. Draken and his mob boss shtick. And now Elsie, who's just kind of a, kick-ass pirate. Which does kind of... I kind of said, maybe... I kind of been under the impression maybe the Oracion... Each of them would kind of serve as the villains of each respective part of the series. But, if Elsie is on our side, then I kind of have to throw out that whole theory out the window. But yeah, Elsie's here. That's great. Fucking pumped to see Elsie again. Because I don't think we've seen her since fucking Norma. Or the aftermath of Norma, at the very least. And yeah, it does make sense, given the little bit that we know about Elsie, that she would be the one to have knowledge, of what exactly is up with Ziggy. We don't have any idea what's up with Ziggy. There is literally no idea what is up with Ziggy. So hopefully Elsie can tell us what happened while he was... I think he was dead the whole time he was turning evil. But yeah, the chapter itself is a pretty... I've talked all this time about in the retrospective. I haven't really gotten into the actual bulk of the chapter. Being the space fight. Which is perfectly good. It definitely feels like Mashima doesn't exactly have a lot of experience in this kind of fighting. In Fairy Tail, and I'm assuming in Rave Master, in Eden Zero so far, a lot of the fights are person to person, not naval combats. And it's kind of hard to... it doesn't exactly flow great, I guess. I guess that's my problem with it. But it's serviceable enough in the end. And we see a little bit of Wizard's power, which, I mean, seeing that he seems to be, the counterpart to Witch, it makes sense he has, and his named Wizard, it makes sense he has some kind of magic theme abilities. But yeah, it kind of does solidify this as sort of the setup to the next part of the story. Now that Ziggy has kind of replaced Draken as the big bad, the Eden's One arc, as I've seen it called on the wiki, is just kind of there to set up Ziggy's new role as antagonist, and move the story into its next phase. Maybe move it into outer space, out of the Sakura cosmos. And also now it reintroduced Elsie into the story. So I'm excited to see what Elsie has to do, what she has to say, how long she's going to stay. But until then, that's all I have to say for this video. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!